Let's fly down to Northeast Africa, specifically to the long, perfectly straight line dividing the nations of Egypt and Sudan. Right in the middle of this otherwise clean border sits an 800-square-mile patch of sand that breaks the system. Search for it, and your device will likely return a location not found error. This area is called Bir Tawil. It has no government, no legal jurisdiction, and no permanent population. It is entirely stateless. Because it lacks any national ownership, mapping companies struggled to categorize it. Between 2012 and 2014, developers for major search engines removed the territory from their servers entirely. This digital omission reflects a physical reality that mapping software was never designed to handle. To render a digital border, mapping databases rely on sovereign identifier codes. Every recognized country has an ISO or UN code, a short string of letters and numbers that verifies it actually exists. Bir Tawil has no sovereign code. Without that identifier, early algorithms suffered database crashes when trying to process the region. To keep their software running, developers built a workaround. They programmed their systems to hide the geometry completely and return a null result to anyone who went looking for it. The digital void was mirroring a physical one. To understand why this desert lacks an identifier code, we have to look at the people who drew the lines in the first place. In the late 19th century, the British colonial administration took on the task of drawing political borders across this region of Africa. This map shows the original 1899 political boundary, assigning Bir Tawil to Sudan. 3 years later, a second administrative boundary reversed ownership, giving Bir Tawil to Egypt and handing the larger Halaib Triangle to Sudan. The Halaib Triangle borders the Red Sea. It is a territory packed with accessible coastline, bustling ports, and rich natural resources. Bir Tawil, on the other hand, is mostly rock and barren sand with zero strategic value. Claiming the worthless sand of Bir Tawil requires a nation to officially recognize the specific colonial map that puts it within their borders, but that same map simultaneously strips them of the highly valuable Halaib Triangle. Two massive nations actively fight to reject a piece of their own continent, maintaining a deliberate blind spot just to keep their leverage over the richer territory next door. Once internet users realized a piece of true terra nullius existed outside of Antarctica, they started traveling there to claim it for themselves. Citizens made the grueling trek across the desert, planted flags in the dirt, and began declaring themselves kings and princesses of a new micronation. International law dictates that sovereignty is not granted by physical presence or a flag. It relies on official recognition from the United Nations. Egyptian and Sudanese military checkpoints carefully restrict who even gets close to the area, preventing individual claimants from exerting any real authority over the land. The lack of resources in Bir Tawil is the exact mechanism keeping the Halaib Triangle dispute active today. Nations do not inherently desire land. They desire valuable land. They will gladly orphan 800 square miles of desert if it means protecting their coastal wealth. Tech companies eventually updated their algorithms to bring Bir Tawil back onto their servers, but if you look for it now, it remains entirely blank, lacking any national color or label. Speaking of things hidden off the grid, next week we are exploring a secret, completely unmapped city that currently controls 20